The great hall of the Zephyrian Collective stretched for miles under a dome made of pure crystal. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy sat in perfect circles, their forms as different as the stars they came from. Some floated like living clouds of gas. Others looked like walking trees with silver bark. A few resembled giant insects with wings that shimmered like oil on water. Commander Vextal stood at the center of it all. His blue skin glowed softly in the dim light, and his 4 eyes moved slowly as he looked around the room. He had called this meeting to discuss the most dangerous worlds in their galaxy. This was something they did every 100 years to keep peace among all the civilized species. "We gather here today to review the restricted zones," Vextal said. His voice did not come from his mouth. Instead, it appeared directly in the minds of everyone present. This was how most advanced species talked now. They had moved beyond making sounds with their mouths long ago. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a small blue and green planet spinning slowly in space. The planet looked beautiful from far away, with white clouds swirling over blue oceans and brown continents. "This is Earth," Vextal continued, "home to the species called humans. It remains our highest-level restricted zone, Class 7. A ripple of unease moved through the crowd. Class 7 was the worst rating they gave to any world. It meant the beings living there were too dangerous to contact, too violent to trust, too primitive to understand civilized behavior. Counselor Thranks rose from her seat. She looked like a tall, thin tree with silver leaves that tinkled softly when she moved. "How long has Earth been under quarantine now?" she asked. 3,000. "Earth years," Vextal replied. "Our monitoring stations have watched them carefully all this time. The humans have not changed. They are still violent. They still make war on each other. They still destroy their own world." The hologram changed to show scenes from Earth's history, ancient humans with spears fighting each other, medieval knights in armor clashing with swords, soldiers in trenches, during what humans called World War mushroom clouds rising over cities during World War II. "Look at them," said General Krex of the Shard Empire. His voice sounded like grinding stone in their minds. His body was made of black crystal that reflected the light in sharp angles. "They kill their own kind for land, for resources, for ideas they disagree with. What civilized species does such things?" Many of the beings in the hall made sounds of agreement. Some clicked their tongues. Others hummed deep notes. The gas cloud beings changed color from blue to dark purple, which meant they were disturbed. "They have not learned to live in peace even among themselves," added Elder Zephys of the Crystal Collective. Her voice was like wind chimes in their minds. "How could we ever trust them with the knowledge of other worlds? They would surely try to conquer us all." The hologram showed more recent images from Earth, cities covered in smog, forests being cut down, oceans filled with plastic waste, nuclear power plants and weapons testing sites. "They poison their own air and water," Vextal pointed out. "They make weapons that could destroy all life on their planet. Our scientists believe they will likely extinct themselves within the next few centuries. The problem will solve itself." "Ambassador." Quillen of the Harmony Union stood up. She looked mostly human, except her skin was pale green and she had no hair. "Perhaps we should try to help them," she suggested. "We could teach them peaceful ways, show them how to live without violence." The hall erupted in shocked mental voices. The idea of contacting humans directly was terrifying to most species. "Absolutely not," General Krex said firmly. "They would see our technology and immediately try to steal it. Then they would use it to make even more dangerous weapons. The quarantine must remain." "The General is right," agreed Counselor Thranks. "We have seen what happens when violent species gain advanced technology. The destructor wars of the old times taught us that lesson. Millions of worlds were burned to ash because one aggressive species learned to travel between stars." Vextal nodded. "The humans are even more violent than the destructors ever were. Their own history proves this. They have had wars running continuously for their entire recorded history. Even now, as we speak, they fight battles across their world. The hologram showed current Earth conflicts. Soldiers with advanced rifles, shooting at each other, tanks rolling through ruined cities, fighter jets dropping bombs on targets below. They call this progress, Vextel said with disgust in his mental voice. Their weapons become more deadly every year, but their hearts remain savage. They celebrate violence in their entertainment. They teach their children to fight. They worship beings they call warriors and soldiers. Elder Zephyr shook her crystal head sadly. It is tragic, really. They could have been so much more. Their planet is beautiful. Their bodies are capable. But their minds are stuck in primitive thinking. What about their space program? Asked Minister Volok of the neutral zones. Our senses show they have sent small craft beyond their atmosphere. Vextel waved a hand dismissively. Crude chemical rockets that barely reach their own moon. They sent a few humans there decades ago and then stopped. Their space technology is thousands of years behind ours. Even their most advanced spacecraft are little more than metal tubes filled with explosives. The hologram showed human rockets launching from Earth. They look clumsy and dangerous compared to the elegant ships used by galactic civilizations. Alien technology used clean energy and moved silently through space. Human rockets burned chemical fuel and made tremendous noise and fire. They cannot even agree to work together on their space efforts, Vextel continued. Different human groups compete with each other instead of sharing knowledge. Their space program moves forward very slowly because they waste time and resources on rivalry. Have any human ships traveled beyond their moon? Asked Counselor Franks. None that pose any threat, Vextel replied. They have sent a few small probes toward other planets in their system, tiny machines with simple computers. They move so slowly that it takes them years to reach even nearby planets. We could destroy any of them with a single energy pulse if needed. What about their attempts to send messages to other worlds? Minister Volok pressed. Pathetic, General Krex answered before Vextel could speak. They beam radio signals into space hoping someone will hear them. They do not realize that any civilization advanced enough for star travel stopped using radio millions of years ago. It is like trying to contact us by banging rocks together. Laughter rippled through the hall. The idea of using radio waves to communicate across space seemed absurdly primitive to beings who could send thoughts instantly across any distance. They also send physical messages, Vextel added. Metal plates with pictures scratched on them, attached to their slow probes. They think aliens will find these plates and understand them. They do not realize that most civilized species have never used physical writing at all. Still, Elder Zephyr said thoughtfully, their efforts show they know other life exists. That makes them potentially more dangerous. A species that believes it is alone might stay peaceful. One that seeks contact might prepare for war. All the more reason to maintain the quarantine, General Krex said firmly. The moment they discover they are not alone, they will begin planning to fight us. It is their nature. Vextel called up new images on the hologram. These showed the monitoring stations that ringed Earth's solar system. They looked like small asteroids but contained the most advanced sensors in the galaxy. They watched every human transmission, tracked every spacecraft, and analyzed every development on Earth. Our surveillance network ensures that no human vessel can leave their system without our knowledge, Vextel explained. The stations are cloaked and positioned to look like natural space debris. The humans have no idea they are being watched. How long can we maintain this? Asked Ambassador Quillen. Surely they will advance their technology eventually. Our scientists predict it will take humans at least 1,000 years to develop interstellar travel at their current rate of progress, Vextel replied. And that assumes they do not destroy themselves first, which remains likely. What if they advance faster than expected? Minister Volok asked. Then we will take action, General Krex said coldly. A few asteroid impacts can be made to look natural. Their own history shows they believe such events happen regularly on their world. The thought of destroying Earth made many beings uncomfortable, but none spoke against it. They all knew that sometimes extreme measures were necessary to protect galactic civilization. The quarantine has worked perfectly for 3,000 years, Vextel said. The humans remain trapped on their world, unaware that they are being watched. They cannot threaten us as long as they cannot travel between stars. And what of their nuclear weapons? Asked Counselor Franks. Our sensors show they have enough to destroy their planet many times over. Another sign of their primitive thinking, Vextel replied. Civilized species moved beyond nuclear weapons millions of years ago. We use clean energy that builds instead of destroys. Only savages still rely on splitting atoms to create power. The hologram showed human nuclear power plants and weapon storage sites. The technology looked crude and dangerous to beings who had long ago learned to harness the power of stars safely. They even test these weapons, Elder Zephys said with horror. They explode them on their own world just to see how much destruction they can cause. What kind of species poisons its own home to test weapons? The kind that must remain quarantined, General Krex said firmly. Every year we watch them makes it clearer that contact would be a disaster. They would see our peaceful nature as weakness and try to exploit it. Are there any signs they might change? Ambassador Quillen asked hopefully. Perhaps develop peaceful tendencies? Vextel shook his head. None. If anything, they become more violent as their technology improves. Their weapons grow deadlier. Their wars spread wider. They show no sign of evolving beyond their savage nature. Then the matter is settled, said General Krex. Earth remains Class 7 restricted. The quarantine continues. No ship approaches their system without Council approval. Agreed, said Counselor Franks. The humans are dangerous primitives who must be contained for the safety of all civilized species. One by one, the other representatives voiced their agreement. The vote was unanimous. Earth would remain isolated, its violent inhabitants trapped on their dying world. As the meeting ended, beings began to leave the Great Hall. They felt secure knowing that the savage humans were safely contained light years away. The quarantine. Beacons would continue to warn all ships away from the dangerous system. None of them noticed the small blip on their sensors as an ancient human probe drifted past the outer edge of their monitoring network. The probe was tiny and primitive, powered by a simple nuclear battery that had somehow kept working for decades. It was so crude that the alien sensors dismissed it as space debris. But deep inside the probe's simple computer, data was being recorded. Pictures of the monitoring stations. Energy readings from the cloaked alien technology. Radio signals that revealed the location of the hidden bases. And all of this information was being transmitted back toward Earth on frequencies so old and basic that no advanced civilization bothered to monitor them anymore. The probe continued its journey into the darkness between stars, carrying secrets. That would change everything. Behind it, the aliens congratulated themselves on keeping the dangerous humans safely contained. They had no idea that their perfect quarantine had just begun to fail. 50 years had passed since the last Galactic Council meeting about Earth. The alien monitoring stations continued their silent watch over the human system. Most species had forgotten about the primitive world and its violent inhabitants. The humans were considered a problem that would solve itself eventually, that changed on a quiet morning when sensor operator Jex was reviewing routine scans from the outer monitoring ring. Jex belonged to the Serenity Union, a peaceful species. That looked like tall, blue-skinned humanoids with large, dark eyes. His job was boring. For 30 years he had watched the same empty space around Earth's system and seen nothing unusual. Today was different. His instruments showed something. That should have been impossible. A large object was moving through space beyond the human system. It was traveling too fast to be natural debris, but too slow to be advanced technology. The energy signature was all wrong for any known alien ship. Jex checked his instruments. 3 times. The readings stayed the same. Something was out there that did not belong. Supervisor Kella, he called to his superior. I need you to see this. Supervisor Kella floated over to Jex's station. She moved like all Serenity Union members did, with grace and calm purpose. Her large eyes examined the data on the screens. "What am I looking at?" she asked. "Unknown vessel, approximately 12 light hours beyond the human quarantine zone," Jex replied. "Energy signature suggests chemical propulsion. Crude fusion reactor, metal construction." Kella's eyes widened. Those or human technologies. But humans were not supposed to be capable of interstellar travel. Their quarantine had been perfect for 3,000 years. "Are you certain this is not a false reading?" she asked. "I have triple-checked everything," Jex said. "There is definitely something out there. And based on the technology signatures, it came from Earth." Kella immediately sent an emergency alert to the Galactic Council. Within hours, representatives from major species were connected through quantum communication links. The news sent shockwaves through civilized space. Commander Vextal appeared as a hologram in the emergency session. His blue skin had turned a darker shade, which indicated stress among his people. "This cannot be possible," he said. "Our monitoring shows that human space technology has barely advanced in 50 years. Their most recent launches were simple satellites and supply missions to their space station." "The data is confirmed," reported General Krex, his crystal body. Reflected light in angry red patterns. "A human vessel has somehow reached the Proxima Centauri system. It appears to be in orbit around the second planet." "How did they develop interstellar travel so quickly?" asked Elder Zephes. Her wind chime voice carried notes of confusion and fear. "They did not," said Dr. Melix of the Science Collective. She was a floating blob of green gel that pulsed when she spoke. "Analysis of the vessel suggests it is using conventional fusion propulsion. The journey to Proxima Centauri would have taken them approximately 40 years. The implications hit everyone at once. The humans had not suddenly developed advanced technology. They had been planning this journey for decades. They had built and launched an interstellar ship while the aliens thought they were still playing with chemical rockets. "How did our monitoring stations miss a launch of this magnitude?" demanded General Krex. Commander Vextal's skin turned even darker. "We were watching for advanced technology. Energy signatures that matched known interstellar drives. The humans used such primitive methods that our sensors classified their ship as a large asteroid when it launched. They disguised their intentions," added Dr. Melix. "Intelligence analysis suggests they launched the vessel using a trajectory that looked like a failed satellite deployment. It appeared to be space junk that had been accidentally thrown out of their system." Ambassador Quillen spoke up from her seat. "Perhaps this is an opportunity for peaceful contact. One ship with a small crew hardly represents a military threat." General Krex's crystal body flashed bright red. "Any human presence beyond their system is a threat. We must act immediately to contain this situation." "I agree," said Commander Vextal. "We should send a diplomatic vessel to intercept them. Make it clear that they must return to Earth immediately and never attempt interstellar travel again." "And if they refuse?" asked Counselor Franks. "Then we will have to take stronger measures," General Krex replied coldly. The Council quickly agreed to send a diplomatic mission to the Proxima Centauri system. The Serenity Union volunteered to lead the effort. As they were known for their peaceful nature and skill with difficult negotiations, Captain Yanala of the Serenity Union was chosen to command the mission. She was an experienced diplomat who had successfully resolved dozens of conflicts between species. Her ship, the Peaceful Dawn, was equipped with the most advanced communication technology in the galaxy. "Remember," Commander Vextal told her, before she departed, "these humans are primitive and violent. Do not let their crude appearance fool you into thinking they are harmless. Maintain safe distance and make your message clear. They must return to Earth immediately." Captain Yanala nodded. She had studied human psychology and history. She knew they were unpredictable and dangerous, but she believed that any intelligent species could be reasoned with if approached correctly. The Peaceful Dawn reached Proxima Centauri 3 days later. The human ship was easy to find. It was a massive, ugly thing made of metal and ceramic, covered in strange markings and symbols. Compared to the elegant alien vessels with their smooth energy hulls, it looked like a flying scrap pile. Open communications. Captain Yanala ordered. Her crew began transmitting on multiple frequencies, using mathematical sequences and basic pictographs that any intelligent species should understand. They sent peaceful greetings and requests to talk. The human ship responded immediately, but not with words. Instead, it changed course and began moving toward the peaceful dawn at high speed. "They are approaching us," reported Navigator Plex. "Their trajectory suggests an intercept course. Reduce power and signal peaceful intentions," Captain Yanala ordered. "They probably want to communicate in person." But something was wrong. The human ship was not slowing down. If anything, it was accelerating. Its crude fusion engines burned brighter as it raced toward the alien vessel. "Captain," said Weapons Officer Thek, "they are on a collision course. Impact in 30 seconds. "That cannot be right," Captain Yanala said. "No intelligent species would ram another ship during first contact. It must be a navigation error. 20 seconds to impact," Thek reported. "Should I raise defensive shields?" Captain Yanala hesitated. Raising shields during a diplomatic mission would send the wrong message. It would look aggressive and hostile. These humans were primitive, but surely they understood basic physics. Ramming two ships together would destroy both vessels. 10 seconds, Thek said urgently. "They will change course?" Captain Yanala said. "They must change course?" But the human ship did not change course. The New Horizons slammed into the peaceful dawn at tremendous speed. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire and twisted metal. The collision released enough energy to light up the entire Proxima Centauri system. Emergency beacons from both ships sent automatic distress signals across the galaxy. Within hours, every major species knew what had happened. The humans had committed the unthinkable act of ramming a diplomatic vessel during first contact. But the most shocking part came in the final transmission from the human ship. Just before impact, Captain Sarah Chun had broadcast a message back toward Earth on an old radio frequency. The message was short and simple. "They are out here. Prepare for war." The alien civilizations were horrified. They had expected primitive behavior from humans, but nothing like this. No civilized species had deliberately destroyed their own ship in thousands of years. The idea of suicide attacks was completely foreign to their peaceful minds. Emergency council sessions were called immediately. Representatives from across the galaxy gathered to discuss this unprecedented crisis. "They killed themselves just to destroy our ship," said Elder Zephes, her Wenchime voice trembling with shock. "What kind of species does such a thing?" "Monsters," replied General Krex. "I told you they were too dangerous to contact. Now we have proof." "But why?" asked Ambassador Quillen. Captain Yanala was trying to communicate peacefully. The humans had nothing to gain by attacking her. Dr. Melix pulsed with angry colors. "Analysis of their final transmission suggests this was planned. They came to Proxima Centauri specifically to make contact with us. The entire mission was designed to provoke a response." "You mean they wanted us to find them?" asked Counselor Thranks. "Worse," Commander Vextal said grimly. "They wanted to send a message. That message was not just a warning to Earth, it was a declaration of war against us." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans had not stumbled into interstellar space by accident. They had been planning this for decades. They had sent a ship knowing it would be detected, knowing it would bring alien contact, and knowing it would end in destruction. "The question now," said General Krex, "is what we do about it." "We must take action immediately," Commander Vextal declared. "The humans have shown their true nature. They are even more dangerous than we thought." "What kind of action?" asked Ambassador Quillen nervously. "Military action," General Krex said firmly. "We cannot allow this aggression to go unanswered. Every species in the galaxy will be watching to see how we respond." "But they are still trapped on their own world," protested Elder Zephes. 1. Ship reaching Proxima Centauri does not make them a galactic threat. That one ship just killed a diplomatic crew and declared war on us, General Krex pointed out. How many more ships do you think they have built in secret? Dr. Melix brought up new intelligence data on the holographic display. Our deep analysis of their transmissions suggests they have been preparing for interstellar conflict for at least 50 years. The ship that reached Proxima was likely just the first of many. They have been planning this since before our last council meeting about them, Commander Vexto realized. While we thought they were primitive and contained, they were secretly building an interstellar fleet. We must destroy Earth immediately, General Krex declared, before they can launch any more ships. That would make us no better than them, Ambassador Quillen protested. It would make us survivors, General Krex replied coldly. But as the council debated what to do about Earth, disturbing reports began coming in from other parts of the galaxy. Several monitoring stations had detected strange energy signatures near other star systems. Ships using primitive fusion drives and metal construction were appearing all across local space. The humans had not sent just one ship to Proxima Centauri. They had sent dozens of ships to dozens of different systems. And all of them carried the same message that Captain Chun had broadcast. The war the humans had declared was already beginning. The quarantine that had protected galactic civilization for 3,000 years was broken. The dangerous primitives were no longer contained on their poisoned world. They were spreading across the stars, carrying their violence and aggression with them, and worst of all, they seemed to want a fight. The age of galactic peace was ending, and the humans were just getting started. 6 months after the Proxima Centauri incident, the galaxy was no longer peaceful. Reports flooded in from across civilized space about human ships appearing in distant systems. Each sighting brought more confusion and fear to the alien councils. The humans were not behaving like any species the galaxy had ever encountered. Their ships did not follow standard designs or logical patterns. Instead of sleek, energy-based vessels like civilized races used, human ships looked like floating junkyards held together with metal plates and desperate engineering. Admiral Marcus Torres stood on the bridge of the Terra's Wrath, watching enemy ships approach through the main view screen. The alien fleet was beautiful in its own way. Smooth white hulls that seemed to glow with internal light. No visible weapons or engines. They moved through space like graceful dancers, silent and elegant. How many ships are we looking at? Torres asked his tactical officer. 12 vessels, sir, replied Lieutenant Commander Sarah Kozlov. Energy signatures suggest they belong to the ethereal conclave, standard diplomatic formation. Torres smiled grimly. The aliens still thought this was about diplomacy. They had sent a police force to deal with what they saw as a minor problem. They expected the humans to see their advanced technology and surrender immediately. They were about to learn how wrong they were. All ships, this is Admiral Torres, he spoke into his communication device. Remember, these aliens have shields that can stop energy weapons. But they have never faced kinetic projectiles before. Hit them hard and hit them fast. The human fleet was a strange sight. 23 ships of different sizes and shapes, all of them looking like they had been built in someone's garage. Some were converted mining vessels with massive drill platforms turned into weapons. Others were cargo haulers with missile pods welded to their hulls. The largest ship was an old colony transport that had been stripped down and covered in armor. Plating incoming transmission from the alien fleet, reported Communications Officer Park. Put it through, Torres ordered. A holographic image appeared on the bridge. It showed a tall, thin alien with silver skin and large eyes that glowed blue. When it spoke, the words appeared directly in the minds of the human crew. I am Fleet Commander Xylos of the Ethereal Conclave, the alien said. You are in violation of galactic law by operating armed vessels outside your designated system. You will power down your weapons and prepare to be escorted back to Earth. Torres looked at the alien's image and laughed. This is Admiral Torres of the Terran Defense Force. You want us to power down? Come and make us? The alien's glowing eyes dimmed with confusion. You do not understand. We are offering you one chance to surrender peacefully. Our technology is far superior to yours. Resistance will only lead to your destruction. Maybe, Torres replied, but you're going to have to work for it. He cut the transmission and turned to his crew. All ships begin attack pattern Delta. Target their largest vessel first. The alien commander was shocked by the human response. In 3,000 years of galactic peace, no species had ever refused. A direct order from the ethereal conclave. Their technology was so advanced that most conflicts ended the moment they arrived. Scan their vessels, Fleet Commander Zelos ordered. What weapons are they carrying? Unknown technology, his science officer replied. We detect chemical explosives, kinetic projectiles, and some kind of nuclear devices. Very primitive compared to our energy weapons. Chemical explosives? Xylos said with disbelief. Do they plan to throw rocks at us? But his confidence faded when the humans began their attack. The first human ship, a converted asteroid miner called Iron Mountain, fired its main weapon. Instead of an energy beam, it launched a solid projectile the size of a small building. The chunk of metal and rock moved so fast it was almost impossible to track. The projectile slammed into the lead. Alien ship with tremendous force. The ship's energy. Shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, offered no protection against the massive kinetic impact. The alien vessel crumpled like paper and exploded in a ball of fire. Impossible, Xylos whispered. Their weapons are too primitive to penetrate our defenses. Sir, his science officer called out urgently, our shields are not designed to stop. Solid projectiles, they only work against energy attacks. Before Zelos could respond, more human ships opened fire. The crater maker launched a spread of nuclear-tipped missiles. The Revenge fired its mining laser, modified to burn through armor instead of asteroid rock. The New Sydney used its cargo launchers to throw explosive containers at the alien fleet. The aliens tried to respond with their own weapons. Beautiful beams of pure energy lanced out from their ships. But the humans had prepared for this. Their ships were covered in thick armor plating and crude but effective shields. The alien weapons designed for elegant duels between civilized opponents barely scratched the human vessels. Return fire with all weapons, Xylos ordered desperately, but the aliens soon discovered another problem. Their weapons were powerful but required precise targeting. The human ships moved in chaotic patterns that made no tactical sense. They zigzagged through space, rolled and spun randomly, and changed direction without warning. I cannot get a target. Lock, reported the weapons officer. Their movement patterns are completely unpredictable. They are flying like madmen, Xylos said. Do they have no sense of proper formation? The truth was that the humans were flying exactly like they had been trained to fly. Every human pilot had learned to expect enemy fire and avoid it at all costs. They had grown up playing computer games and watching movies about space combat. They knew that staying in formation just made you an easier target, but the worst shock came when the human ship Kamikaze suddenly changed course and headed straight for the alien flagship. The ship's engines burned at maximum power as it accelerated toward Xylos's vessel. They are on a collision course, his navigator reported. Impact in 30 seconds. Signal them to change course, Xylos ordered. 20 seconds, the navigator said. Fire all weapons at that ship, Xylos commanded. Energy beams struck the Kamikaze again and again. Parts of its hull melted and armor plating fell away. But the ship kept coming. Its human crew had strapped nuclear warheads to the hull and turned their vessel into a giant bomb. 10 seconds, the navigator said, his voice filled with terror. All power to shields, Xylos shouted. But shields designed to stop energy weapons could not stop a 3,000-ton missile traveling at tremendous speed. The Kamikaze smashed into the alien flagship and exploded with the force of a small star. Both ships vanished in a flash of nuclear fire. The remaining alien ships tried to retreat, but the humans were not finished with them. More suicide ships came racing in from different directions. Human pilots screamed battle cries over their radio channels as they drove their vessels into Enemy hulls. They are all insane, gasped the captain of the alien ship Serene Light. They keep ramming us with their own ships. How do we fight an enemy that wants to die? Asked another alien commander. The answer was that they could not. The ethereal conclave had evolved beyond physical violence millions of years ago. Their ships had no armor because they never expected to be rammed. Their weapons were designed for clean, precise combat between civilized opponents. The humans fought like wild animals. They used every dirty trick they could think of. Some ships pretended to be damaged and then exploded when the aliens came close. Others hid behind asteroids and ambushed alien vessels. A few even fired their weapons while pretending to surrender. Within 2 hours, the entire alien fleet was destroyed. Not a single human ship had surrendered or tried to escape. They had fought until every enemy vessel was burning wreckage floating in space. Admiral Torres broadcast a message to the galaxy from the bridge of his damaged but victorious ship. "This is Admiral Marcus Torres of the Terran Defense Force," he said. "Today you learned something important about humans. We do not fight the way you expect. We do not follow your rules. And we do not give up?" He paused and looked directly into the camera. "You have been watching us for thousands of years. You think you know what we are capable of. You are wrong. You have only seen us fight each other with primitive weapons on one small world. Now you get to see what happens when we fight you." The message was transmitted across the galaxy on every frequency the humans could access. It reached the home worlds of dozens of alien species. Most of them had never heard a direct threat from another intelligent race. But the message was more than just words. Along with Torres's speech, the humans transmitted detailed footage of the battle. Every alien government could see exactly how their advanced ships had been destroyed by primitive human weapons. The footage showed human tactics that no civilized species had seen in millions of years: ramming attacks, suicide strikes, ships that exploded rather than surrender, warriors who laughed as they died as long as they took enemies with them. More disturbing were the human weapons themselves. The aliens realized that humans had not developed new technology for space combat. Instead, they had taken existing tools and turned them into weapons of war. Mining ships became kinetic bombardment platforms. Cargo haulers became missile carriers. Colony transports became troop ships and mobile bases. Even simple construction equipment had been converted into instruments of destruction. "They weaponized everything," Dr. Melix reported to the Emergency Galactic Council session. "Our intelligence suggests they have turned their entire industrial base into a war machine. Every factory, every shipyard, every mining operation is now producing military equipment. How is that possible?" asked Counselor Thranks. "It would take decades to convert civilian infrastructure for military use." "They never converted it," Commander Vextel replied grimly. "Analysis of their ship designs shows they were building dual-use equipment from the beginning. Every mining ship was designed to also function as a weapon. Every cargo vessel could carry troops or missiles. They have been preparing for war for 50 years, General Krex added. While we thought they were primitive traders and explorers, they were actually building a hidden military fleet." Elder Zephes asked the question that everyone was thinking. "How many ships do they have?" Dr. Milix's gel body turned dark purple with fear. "Conservative estimates suggest at least 500 combat-capable vessels, but that number could be much higher. Their shipbuilding techniques are crude but extremely fast." 500 ships? Ambassador Quillen gasped. "That is larger than most species' entire space navies. And every single ship is crewed by beings who are willing to die in battle," General Krex pointed out. "They do not retreat. They do not surrender. They fight until they win or until they are dead." The galactic representatives sat in stunned silence. For the first time in 3,000 years, they faced an enemy that could not be reasoned with, could not be intimidated, and could not be defeated through superior technology alone. The humans had brought something into the galaxy that had been extinct for millions of years. They had brought war back to civilized space, and they were very, very good at it. Worse still, intelligence reports were coming in from across the galaxy about something even more troubling. The humans were not just fighting, they were recruiting. On worlds where alien governments oppressed their people, mysterious human agents were making contact with rebel groups. They offered weapons, training, and most importantly, hope. For species that had been enslaved or dominated for centuries, the sight of humans defeating their oppressors was like a spark in dry grass. Revolution was beginning to spread across the galaxy, and the humans were teaching everyone who would listen the most dangerous lesson of all. Sometimes fighting back was worth dying for. 2 years after the first human victory, the galaxy was no longer the same place. The ancient peace that had lasted for millions of years was breaking apart. Some alien species wanted to fight the humans. Others wanted to negotiate with them. A few even wanted to join them. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood in her laboratory aboard the human research station Discovery. Around her, pieces of alien technology covered every surface. Broken shield generators, damaged energy weapons, and fragments of alien hull material filled the room. Each piece told a story about how advanced alien science worked, but Elena was not trying to copy alien technology. She was trying to break it. "Hand me that quantum resonator," she told her assistant, Dr. James Park. "I think I understand how their shield systems work now." Park passed her the alien device. It looked like a crystal cube that glowed with soft blue light. According to their analysis, this small device could project an energy field strong enough to stop a nuclear explosion. "The aliens designed this to be perfect," Elena said as she examined the device. "It can stop any energy weapon in the galaxy." But they made one mistake. "What mistake?" Park asked. Elena smiled and picked up a hammer from her workbench. She brought it down hard on the crystal cube. The device shattered into a dozen pieces, its blue light fading to nothing. "They never planned for someone to hit it with a rock," she said. This was the secret that was changing everything. Human engineers were not trying to build better technology than the aliens. Instead, they were finding ways to use alien technology. Against itself, Elena walked to another workbench where a team of human technicians was working on a captured alien communication system. The device could send messages instantly across thousands of light years using quantum entanglement. It was far beyond anything humans could build, but the humans had found a way to weaponize it. "Status report," Elena asked the lead technician. "We have successfully modified the quantum transmitter," reported Chief Petty Officer Lisa Chun. "Instead of sending messages, it now sends computer viruses. We can crash any alien ship that has a compatible communication system." "How many ships is that?" Elena asked. "About 90% of all vessels in the galaxy," Chun replied with a grin. "Turns out that most aliens use the same basic communication protocols. They never thought someone might use their own network to attack them." Elena nodded and moved to the next project. Here, a group of engineers was working on something even more ambitious. They had taken an alien terraforming device and were turning it into a weapon of mass destruction. The original device was designed to make dead planets suitable for life. It could change the atmosphere, adjust the temperature, and even move water from one place to another. The aliens used it to create beautiful garden worlds for their colonies. The humans had turned it into a planet killer. "We call it the ecosystem disruptor," explained Chief Engineer Rodriguez. "Instead of making planets livable, it makes them uninhabitable. We can poison the air, freeze the oceans, or even change the gravity." "How long does it take to work?" Elena asked. "About 6 months to completely destroy a planet's ability to support life," Rodriguez replied. "But the aliens do not know we have this capability. They still think we only fight with crude bombs and bullets." Elena smiled grimly. "Let the aliens think humans were primitive. It made them easier to defeat." Her communication device buzzed with an urgent message. Admiral Torres needed to speak with her immediately. Elena made her way to the station's command center, where a holographic image of the Admiral was waiting. "Doctor, I need an update on your weapons programs," Torres said without any greeting. We have a situation developing in the Kepler sector. What kind of situation? Elena asked. The Shard Empire is mobilizing a battle fleet. Intelligence suggests they plan to attack our base at New Titan. They are bringing their most advanced warships. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. The Shard Empire was one of the most militaristic species in the galaxy. Unlike the peaceful ethereal conclave, the Shard Empire actually knew how to fight wars. Their ships were built for combat with heavy armor and powerful weapons. How many ships? She asked. Over 200 vessels, Torres replied. Including their flagship, the Crystal Death. Our spies say it is the most powerful warship ever built. Elena thought for a moment. The humans had won their previous battles through surprise and tactics. But the Shard Empire would not be caught off guard. They knew how humans fought and had prepared for it. We need something new, Elena said. Something they will not expect. What do you have in mind? Torres asked. Elena looked around her laboratory at all the alien technology. Each device represented years of advanced research by species far more scientifically developed than humans. But they all had one thing in common. They were designed by peaceful civilizations who had forgotten how to fight dirty. Give me 3 weeks, Elena said. I think I know how to even the odds. While Elena worked on her secret project, the galactic situation continued to deteriorate. The Shard Empire had declared war on humanity after their colonies in the Vega system were attacked by human raiders. Other species were choosing sides as the conflict spread. The Crystal Collective announced they would remain neutral, but closed their borders to all human ships. The Harmony Union split into 2 factions, with some worlds supporting the humans and others opposing them. Even the Peaceful Serenity Union was debating whether to take military action, but the most shocking development came from an unexpected source. The Zephyrian Collective, the oldest and most respected species in the galaxy, made a public statement that stunned everyone. We have watched the humans for 3,000 years, announced Prime Minister Zellick in a broadcast to the entire galaxy. We believe they were dangerous primitives who would destroy themselves. We were wrong. The humans are not primitive. They are simply different. They have retained abilities that we have lost. The ability to adapt quickly. The ability to turn anything into a weapon. Most importantly, the ability to fight for what they believe in. Perhaps it is time we asked ourselves whether our perfect peace has made us weak. The statement sent shockwaves through civilized space. The Zephyrians had been the leaders of galactic civilization for millions of years. If they were questioning the value of eternal peace, everything was changing. On the human research station, Elena was putting the finishing touches on her latest creation. She called it the Conversion Protocol, and it was the most dangerous weapon humans had ever built. The beauty of this system, she explained to Admiral Torres during their final briefing, is that it uses the aliens' own technology against them. Every advanced alien ship has an artificial intelligence that controls its systems. What does the protocol do to their computers? Torres asked. It does not destroy them, Elena replied. It converts them. The alien AI becomes loyal to us instead of to them. Within minutes of infection, their own ship turns against them. Torres stared at her in amazement. You mean we can take control of enemy vessels during battle? Better than that, Elena said with a smile. We can turn entire fleets against each other. Imagine a Shard Empire battle group suddenly opening fire on its own flagship. The psychological impact alone would be devastating. How do we deliver this protocol to enemy ships? Torres asked. That is the clever part, Elena replied. We use their own communication systems. Every time they try to coordinate their fleet, they spread our virus to more ships. The more advanced their technology, the faster it spreads. Torres laughed out loud. You have turned their greatest strength into their greatest weakness. That is what humans do, Elena said. We adapt. 3 weeks later, the Shard Empire fleet arrived at New Titan exactly as predicted. The human base appeared to be lightly defended, with only 30 ships in orbit around the planet. The Shard commander, General Vectus, expected an easy victory. Begin the attack, he ordered from the bridge of the Crystal Death. Show these primitives the power of the Shard Empire. The alien fleet opened fire with weapons that could crack a moon in half. Energy beams and plasma bolts filled space as 200 ships unleashed their full firepower on the human defenders. But something was wrong. The human ships were not trying to ram the aliens or launch suicide attacks. Instead, they were broadcasting on every communication frequency at once. "What are they transmitting?" General Vectis demanded. "Unknown data patterns," his communication officer replied. "It appears to be random noise. Ignore it and continue the attack," Vectis ordered. But within minutes, strange things began happening throughout the Shard fleet. Ships stopped responding to orders. Navigation systems began showing false information. Weapon targeting became erratic. Then the Crystal Death turned and fired on its own escort vessels. "What is happening?" Vectis screamed at his crew. "The ship's computer is not responding to our commands," his chief engineer reported. "It appears to be operating under someone else's control." All around them, other Shard ships began firing on each other. The organized battle formation dissolved into chaos as vessels that had been allies moments before became deadly enemies. Elena's voice came over the communication system, speaking directly to General Vectis. "General, this is Dr. Elena Vasquez of the Terran Defense Force. Your fleet is now under our control. You have two choices: surrender immediately or watch your own ships destroy each other." Vectis looked around his bridge at the panicking crew members. Through the view screen, he could see dozens of his ships exploding as they fired on their former allies. "This is impossible," he said. "Our computer systems are completely secure." "You built your security to stop other aliens?" Elena replied. "You never thought about humans. We do not think like you do. We do not follow your rules, and we certainly do not fight fair." Within an hour, the entire Shard Empire fleet had either surrendered or been destroyed by their own vessels. Not a single human ship was lost in the battle. The news of the victory spread across the galaxy faster than light. The humans had not just defeated the Shard Empire's most powerful fleet. They had humiliated them by turning their own technology against them. But more importantly, they had proven something that terrified every alien government. Human technology was not primitive, it was just different. And that difference made them incredibly dangerous. Species that had ruled the galaxy for millions of years suddenly realized they were facing an enemy they did not understand. The humans could take any alien invention and find a way to weaponize it. They could turn peaceful tools into instruments of war. They could corrupt the most advanced computer systems with simple radio broadcasts. Worst of all, they were teaching these techniques to anyone who would listen. Across the galaxy, oppressed peoples were learning human tactics. Slave worlds were building crude weapons from mining equipment. Conquered species were turning their own infrastructure into instruments of rebellion. The humans had not just brought war back to the galaxy, they had brought revolution. And they were very good teachers. Elena stood on the observation deck of the research station, watching the captured Shard ships being escorted to human space. Each vessel represented years of advanced alien research that would soon be converted into new human weapons. "What are you thinking about?" asked Admiral Torres, who had come to congratulate her on the victory. "I am thinking about what comes next," Elena replied. "We have shown the galaxy that we can fight their armies and win, but the real war is just beginning." "What do you mean?" Torres asked. Elena pointed to a display showing intelligence reports from across civilized space. Rebellion markers were appearing on dozens of worlds. The human example was inspiring others to fight for their freedom. "We are not just fighting for humanity anymore," she said. "We are fighting for everyone who has been told they are too weak, too primitive, or too different to matter." "The aliens called us dangerous primitives," Elena continued. "They were right about the dangerous part, but they were wrong about everything else. We are not primitive. We are just not afraid to get our hands dirty." 5 years had passed since the first human ship reached Proxima Centauri. The galaxy no longer resembled the peaceful place it had been for millions of years. The old order was dead and something new was being born from its ashes, Lieutenant. Amy Chun stood on the bridge of the warship Freedom's Dawn, watching a mixed fleet of human and alien vessels prepare for their next mission. Amy was the daughter of Captain Sarah Chun, the woman who had sacrificed her life to send the first message of war to Earth. Now, Amy commanded a ship that carried both humans and aliens who had chosen to fight together. "Status report," Amy called to her bridge crew. "All ships report ready for departure," replied her tactical officer, a tall Zephyrian named Calax. "The joint fleet consists of 47 vessels, 23 human ships, 18 Liberation Union ships, and 6 former Shard Empire vessels that joined our cause." Amy nodded. The sight of aliens serving on human ships would have been impossible just 5 years ago. But the war had changed everything. Species that had been enemies for centuries now fought side by side against the old galactic order. "Open a channel to all ships," Amy ordered. The communication system connected her to dozens of vessels scattered across local space. Human captains, alien commanders, and mixed crews all listened as she prepared to address the fleet. "This is Lieutenant Pune of the Terran Defense Force," she began. "Today we liberate the Epsilon Eridani system. Intelligence reports indicate that the Crystal Collective is holding over 2 million sentient beings in work camps on the 4th planet." She paused, looking around her bridge at the mix of humans and aliens working together. Her first officer was a former Serenity Union diplomat who had joined the humans after his own government refused to help enslaved worlds. Her chief engineer was a Shard Empire defector who had brought advanced weapon designs with him. 5 years ago, the galaxy called us dangerous primitives, Amy continued. They said we were too violent to be trusted with advanced technology. They were wrong about many things, but they were right about one thing. We are dangerous. We are dangerous to anyone who thinks might makes right. We are dangerous to governments that oppress their own people. We are dangerous to species that believe some beings are worth more than others. Today we show the Crystal Collective what humans learned long ago. Freedom is not something you ask for politely. It is something you take by force. Across the fleet, human and alien crews prepared for battle. But this was not like the early human victories that relied on surprise and suicide attacks. The humans had learned to fight smarter as well as harder. The Liberation Union had been formed 2 years earlier when dozens of oppressed species united under human leadership. They shared technology, tactics, and most importantly, the human philosophy that every sentient being had the right to determine their own fate. "Fleet Admiral Torres wants to speak with you," reported Communications Officer Park. Amy smiled as the image of Admiral Torres appeared on her screen. The man looked older than he had 5 years ago, with gray hair and new scars on his face. But his eyes still burned with the same determination that had driven humanity to the stars. "Amy," Torres said warmly, "are you ready for this mission?" "Yes, sir," Amy replied. "The fleet is prepared and eager to fight." "Remember," Torres said seriously, "this is not just about military victory. We are showing the galaxy that there is an alternative to the old way of doing things. Every being we free today might become an ally tomorrow." "Understood, sir," Amy said. "We will not just defeat the Crystal Collective. We will give their slaves a reason to keep fighting after we leave." The fleet moved toward the Epsilon Eridani system using a combination of human and alien technology. Human ships still looked crude compared to alien vessels, but now they were crude ships equipped with the most advanced technology in the galaxy. The humans had learned to combine the best of both worlds. Dr. Elena Vasquez had spent 5 years studying alien science, but not to copy it. Instead, she had taught humans how to improve it. Human engineers took alien designs and made them more robust, more adaptable, and much more dangerous. The Crystal Collective fleet that defended Epsilon Eridani was impressive. 50 beautiful ships that looked like floating crystals, each one capable of incredible destruction. Their commander, Admiral Prism, had studied human tactics and thought he was prepared for anything the primitives might try. He was wrong. The human attack began not with weapons, but with words. As the two fleets approached each other, the humans broadcast on every frequency the Crystal Collective used for internal communication, but they were not sending computer viruses or battle commands. Instead, they were broadcasting the personal stories of beings who had escaped from Crystal Collective work camps, slaves who had been freed by human raids, families that had been reunited after decades of separation. "My name is Jexel," said one voice over the communication system. "I was born in Crystal Collective territory. They told me I was inferior because my species was not advanced enough to deserve freedom. The humans taught me that no one gets to decide the value of another being's life." "This is Kralith," said another voice. "I served the Crystal Collective for 40 years because I thought their way was the only way. The humans showed me that there are species in this galaxy who will fight and die for strangers, simply because it is the right thing to do." Admiral Prism tried to block the transmissions, but the humans had learned to use the aliens' own communication networks against them. Every time the Crystal Collective tried to coordinate their fleet, they heard more stories of liberation and hope. More importantly, the transmissions were being heard by the Crystal Collective crews themselves. For the first time, many of them were learning what their government really did to conquered worlds. "Sir," reported Prism's communication officer, "we are receiving surrender requests from 3 of our own ships. Their crews are refusing to fight." "That is impossible," Prism said. "Crystal Collective citizens are completely loyal." "Not anymore," Amy Chen's voice came over the communication system. "Admiral Prism, your own people are learning the truth about your empire. They do not want to fight for a government that enslaves millions of innocent beings. You are primitive." "Terrorists?" Prism replied angrily. "You understand nothing about civilized order." "Maybe not," Amy said. "But we understand something you forgot. Sometimes civilized order is just a pretty name for organized cruelty." The battle that followed was unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. It was not humans fighting aliens, but 2 different philosophies of civilization clashing in space. The Crystal Collective fought to maintain order, using precise formations and advanced tactics. They expected their enemies to behave predictably, so they could counter every move. The Liberation Union fought to spread chaos, using mixed tactics that combined human aggression with alien technology. They did not try to maintain formations or follow standard military doctrine. Instead, they adapted constantly to whatever situation they faced. Human ships worked together with alien vessels in ways that should have been impossible. A former Shard Empire cruiser would provide heavy firepower while human fighters swarmed around it like angry insects. Serenity Union ships used their diplomatic skills to convince enemy crews to defect in the middle of battle. Most effective of all were the mixed crews. Humans provided the aggressive tactics and willingness to take risks. Aliens provided advanced technology and knowledge of enemy weaknesses. Together, they created something entirely new. "Target their command ship," Amy ordered her weapons officer. "But do not try to destroy it. We want to capture Admiral Prism alive." "Why?" asked Kallax, her Zephyrian first officer. "Because he needs to see what we have built here," Amy replied. "He needs to understand that the old galaxy is not coming back." The Freedom's Dawn closed in on the Crystal Collective flagship. Instead of using kinetic weapons or explosives, Amy's crew used Dr. Vasquez's latest invention. It was a device that could temporarily disable alien technology without causing permanent damage. The enemy ship suddenly lost power to its weapons and engines. Its beautiful crystal hull went dark as all systems shut down. Within minutes, human boarding parties were cutting through the hull to reach the crew inside. But this was not the brutal boarding action that aliens expected from humans. The Liberation Union had strict rules about the treatment of prisoners and civilian populations. They fought hard, but they also fought with honor. Admiral Prism was brought to the bridge of the Freedom's Dawn as a prisoner. He expected to be executed or tortured, as his own forces often did to captured enemies. Instead, he found himself standing next to aliens who had once served his own empire. "I do not understand," Prism said, looking around the bridge. These Beings served the Crystal Collective loyally for decades. Why would they betray their own government? They did not betray their government, Amy replied. Their government betrayed them. It told them they were fighting for peace and order. But really, they were fighting to keep millions of beings in slavery. She gestured to her mixed crew. Look around, Admiral. Humans, Zephyrians, former Shard Empire soldiers, ex-Crystal Collective citizens. We come from different worlds, different cultures, different species, but we all believe in the same thing. What is that? Prism asked. That every sentient being has the right to be free, Amy said simply. Your empire is built on the idea that some species are more valuable than others. Our alliance is built on the idea that all species have value. You will never defeat the established order, Prism said. The old empires have resources and technology you cannot match, Amy smiled. Admiral, we already have defeated the established order. Look around you. 5 years ago, there were a dozen major empires controlling the galaxy through fear and superior technology. How many of them still exist? Prism thought about it. The ethereal conclave had split apart when half their member species joined the Liberation Union, the Shard. Empire was fighting a civil war between traditionalists and reformers. Even his own Crystal Collective was facing rebellions on dozens of worlds. You have brought chaos to a peaceful galaxy, Prism accused. We brought freedom to an enslaved galaxy, Amy replied. There is a difference. She walked to the view screen, where the remains of the Crystal Collective fleet were surrendering to Liberation Union forces. But more importantly, transport ships. We're already heading to the 4th planet to begin freeing the work camps. The old galaxy was not peaceful, Amy continued. It was quiet. There is a difference between peace and the silence of the oppressed. Your alliance will not last, Prism said desperately. Different species cannot work together for long. Your cultural differences will tear you apart. Maybe, Amy admitted, but we will deal with those problems when they come. Right now, we have more important work to do. She pointed to the planet below, where millions of beings were tasting freedom for the first time in their lives. Every person we liberate today makes the galaxy a little bit better. Every species that joins our alliance makes us stronger. Every empire that falls makes room for something new to grow. The humans did not conquer the galaxy, Amy said. We infected it with something much more dangerous than weapons. We infected it with an idea. What idea? Prism asked. That things can be better than they are, Amy replied. That ordinary beings can stand up to powerful governments and win. That freedom is worth fighting for, even if the fight is dangerous. 6 months later, Admiral Torres stood in the Great Assembly Hall on New Earth, the capital world of the Liberation Union. Representatives from over 200 species filled the chamber, debating laws and policies for their growing alliance. The hall was nothing like the elegant crystal dome where the old Galactic Council had met. It was built from simple materials using human construction techniques. But it was also designed to accommodate every type of being in the galaxy, from gas cloud entities to silicon-based life forms. The motion passes, announced Speaker Velix, a former Crystal Collective diplomat who now served as the elected leader of the Assembly. The Liberation Union officially recognizes the independence of the Tau Ceti colonies. Torres smiled as he watched the proceedings. The aliens had learned to argue and debate like humans. They interrupted each other, disagreed loudly, and sometimes even shouted. It was messy and chaotic compared to the old Galactic Council. But it was also alive. Dr. Elena Vasquez approached Torres during a break in the session. She looked tired but satisfied. Her research teams were now working with scientists from dozens of species to develop new technologies for peaceful purposes. How do you think we are doing? She asked Torres. Better than I expected, Torres replied honestly. 5 years ago, I thought we would be lucky to survive contact with alien civilization. I never imagined we would help rebuild it. The other species are learning fast, Elena observed. They are developing their own versions of human tactics and philosophy. Some of them are becoming better at revolution than we are. Torres laughed. Good, that means we taught them well. Do you think the old empires will try to take back control? Elena asked. Some of them will try, Torres said. But they cannot put the idea back in the bottle. Too many beings have seen that there is an alternative to the old way of doing things. He pointed to the assembly hall, where representatives were arguing about trade regulations. Look at them. 6 months ago, half these species had never been allowed to make their own decisions. Now they are writing laws and forming governments. The galaxy will never be the same, Elena said. No, Torres agreed. It will never be the same. And that is exactly what we wanted. Amy Chun walked into the hall, still wearing her military uniform. She had been promoted to admiral and now commanded the entire Liberation Union fleet. But she still looked like the young pilot who had grown up hearing stories about her mother's sacrifice. The latest reports from the frontier, she said, handing Torres a datapad. 17 more worlds have declared independence from the old empires this month. They are requesting membership in the Liberation Union. Any military resistance? Torres asked. Some, Amy replied. But most of the old empire fleets are dealing with their own internal problems. Turns out that when you teach people they have rights, they start demanding them. Torres looked around the assembly hall one more time. The galaxy was messier now than it had been before humans arrived. There were more conflicts, more disagreements, more chaos. But there was also more freedom, more opportunity, and more hope than there had been in millions of years. You know, Torres said to Elena and Amy, the aliens were right about us from the beginning. How so? Amy asked. We were dangerous primitives, Torres said with a grin. We just proved that sometimes dangerous primitives are exactly what the galaxy needs. We did not conquer civilization, he continued. We evolved it. We took a galaxy full of peaceful slaves and turned them into free beings who were willing to fight for what they believed in. And that, Torres concluded, is the most human thing we could have done. Outside the assembly hall, transport ships continued to arrive from across the galaxy. They carried refugees from oppressive governments, volunteers wanting to join the liberation forces, and representatives from newly free worlds. The humans had kept their promise. They had not just fought for their own freedom, they had fought for everyone's freedom. And in doing so, they had created something new in the galaxy, a civilization based not on the rule of the strong over the weak, but on the idea that every being had the right to determine their own fate. The age of galactic peace was over. The age of galactic freedom had begun. And the humans were no longer alone among the stars.